My name is Tony B. I'm the co-founder of a startup and an AI company. Big surprise, I know. So we are conversational AI. So our AI is able to pretty much be more advanced than any other one you've ever had a conversation with, to where you know you're talking to an AI, yet you don't. It almost scares you. So, but we're here to help and be able to kind of, help, whether it's real estate, whether it be financial services. We have a lot of different verticals that we've helped already, and so currently just want to be able to continue to spread that good word and also talk about the crowdfund that we're about to launch. So thank you guys.
Okay, hello, I'm not working again. Whoa, what happened?
We can hear you.
You can hear me? That's my voice kind, not the mic. A little bit up. Okay, perfect. So, Tony, what I thought we'd do this time is try something a little bit different. So, I'm going to ask you some questions basically about your business, because the whole idea is here we want to try and, help each other kind of address some of the challenges that we may have each had with our startups. And Tony is our victim for tonight. So, Tony, when did you start your company, ReplicAIDE?
Last year. We incorporated officially at the end of July. But we've been doing this since January.
Okay, and are you bootstrapping? Have you raised capital?
We were initially bootstrapping, and then when we incorporated, we were able to raise an angel round of around 300,000, a little over.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It just kind of gets you started, I think, and so now we're rolling, into the crowdfund round to kind of open it up to more investors, more wider audience as well, and some partners.
So I'm sure people here would like to know how you were able to raise that $300,000. So why don't you give us a quick, high-level view of what you did and how you were able to accomplish that, and where you found the angel investor.
Yes. Shout out to a good friend, Kurt. I think he talks a lot about this, but relationships are very important. I had a colleague somebody that I had worked with previously in engagements, had some, success that they saw. Our team, our track record, we had a lot of things going for us, right? It wasn't just like a fly-by-night, and so that individual, and timing too, right? You gotta have a lot of those things, but I think when you kind of mix up the domino effect, people kind of are willing to, get involved, and you work that relationship continuously, because it's not just like, okay, thank you for your money, see you later. You have to continue.
Were you pre-revenue at the time, or did you have?
We were
okay. Are you still pre-reveue?
No, we are not.
Congratulations again. Okay. So who here has tried to raise capital or is trying to raise capital for their business? A couple of hands. Okay. Do you have any questions for Tony as to how he was able to do it? Any questions? Okay. Okay, there you go. Question.
Did you use the pitch deck?
No.
Wow.
So I had a working demo. So I think it depends, right? We were technically idea stage, but I could show how the model, it was an AI kind of helping have conversations, keep track of the records, put it in a CRM. But it was last year, nobody was doing that. It was intuitive enough to push us over the edge. Now you start seeing a lot more of that stuff coming, where we've had to be competitive now. But I'd say my biggest thing was pitch decks, I guess, either or, but now you got to kind of show it instead of just having an idea, I believe. Especially with, you put something in a coder and then it drops you up, a thing in 5 minutes of how here's a demo. So I guess there's really no excuse to not have a demo for somebody now.
Do you know Sean? Sean, where are you? Sean Gigamosa. So maybe some synergy here with what you're doing, maybe. Yeah. Possibly, yeah. So explain how your AI tool works. What exactly is it? Is it language recognition?
So it'll be conversationally based. I can pull them up here in a sec so you can talk to it. But it's really just something that initially started out doing when people can't handle all these missed calls that they're getting in their business, the follow-up, a lot of tedious tasks. So we were doing a lot of administration work, and it was very intuitive. Still, not that what we were providing, and now we've only refined, having better conversations with real estate, where it's very nuanced. There's so many things going on in the process. It has to remember all these things, timelines, and so we've really pushed more to enhancing the brain and the capabilities of what our AI can do in the industry.
Okay, so what would you say has been your greatest challenge to date?
As a startup, I believe I don't know about other startups. My thing is I'm a visionary, so if I see something I believe we can do that, that's the name, take the name ReplicAIDE. I'm like, oh, we can replicate that, right? So, but obviously, you know, you can't do everything. So we find the partners that can do the things that we can't do, and focusing on what you do well and the people that can bridge the gaps, because you know, you can't be Amazon when you're first starting out, even as much as you want to be. So be as good as you can be at that one thing and get the partners to help in the areas that you're not.
And what would you say has been your greatest success to date?
The biggest success, I think, for me personally is now, you know, technically it's in the process in lieu, but we are going to be starting to go public for a crowdfund. And so for me, I think, you know, being a second generation of family that immigrated here, you know, it's been very important to me that nobody instilled an investor mindset into my family. And so I think now to be able to do something like that, and yes, of course, we can go and get investment capital, but I think to me, as in, you know, the immigrant mentality is like, hey, help a hand up to those around you and do what you can to you know, give other people access. And so I think that to me that would be like tending to be our greatest success as it comes. So.
Okay, crowdfunding, you're talking about doing crowdfunding, okay. That's something that maybe some of you have done or haven't done. Does everybody understand crowdfunding here? Yes, okay. When are you launching?
We're hoping to be launching by the end of March. We've already had a partner finalized, so just kind of finalizing the terms of what we want to accept, kind of be willing to give, and then go public with it pretty soon, hopefully.
And how did you determine what platform to use, how much money you're looking to raise, that kind of thing?
So we talked to so many platforms like Start Engine. We found like a lot of the big ones that people may have heard of, and then small ones that people haven't heard of. And honestly, there was a partner that approached us. He approached our investor because, you know, of course, on LinkedIn, it's good you put some investment in. It's nice to get all those people that are looking for investments. But it was a startup actually that approached us. And we looked at their, you know, record, kind of just transparency and what they were offering. And I think honestly, we'll be happy to work with them as, you know, a successful raise through a platform like that then we can share to so many other entrepreneurs, because I mean, not about us, right? You know, about them, but cool thing they do is they'll cover the marketing for the crowdfund. And that's the most critical thing for any crowdfund is you're going to take some of that money out to then put back into the marketing, right? And so a lot of businesses don't want to do that. And so this company is pretty much, you know, verified, working with other marketing partners, you know, already has the first party data of all these investors that you may want. And so this is just a great partner that I just value that, hey, they are the proven track record. They've already helped the people multi-million-dollar raises. I don't need to be the expert. Of course, we think we're smart, we can do it, but we'll go with a verified partner that can kind of take us over to the edge of doing things that we haven't been able to do yet. So, do
you mind sharing the name of the company? Because I think other people might be interested in knowing who they are. Is that proprietary or no?
What is the name?
L-O-U-P-T.
L-O-U-P-T, Looped.
L-O-U-P-T, Looped. Okay. Is their website looped.ai or looped?
I'm sorry, yeah.
Okay.
I think it's loop.co.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good resource for anybody who's looking to do a crowdfunding, maybe.
Yeah, definitely. We'll let them know ReplicAIDE. Shout them out. But yeah, if you guys are interested, definitely to just get that resource, we could share it with you guys to learn more about the crowdfunding platform.
So tell me a little bit about how you structured your company when you started it, Tony, because that's the thing that a lot of startups don't think about is, you know, how to properly capitalize the company, the share structure, that kind of thing. Did you put any thought into that, or did you kind of backtrack and do that after the fact?
Let me just try to think. So just putting what our financials projections were? Or?
No, more the capital structure as far as the kind of, I mean, I'm assuming you're a corporation, right,
yes,
okay. So the types of shares that you authorize, that kind of thing to make you attractive to an investor, whether it's an angel or Series A or whatever.
Yeah, again, I'm not an expert in any of that. I'm a young or late 20s entrepreneur, kind of first render of a startup. Been in the business space doing marketing for a while, but I got around mentors. I got around people that were like, okay, hey, I know they were like, hey, go get incorporated in Wyoming, and here's why. It's the new Delaware, and I don't know these things. I'm just learning from other people, and they're like, hey, set up this many shares, do this. A lot of those things I can share with you guys, but again, this is not me. It's just going to people that have, taken companies public in the past, getting in great communities, and learning from other founders on how to structure that stuff. Because even for me, I was like, what is Class A, Class B shares? I'm like, this is over my head. But I needed to do my homework, I needed to learn, and I needed to get around people that understood that. And of course, now with AI, you can just say, explain it to me, and it'll dumb it down 5th grade level for you and just help you kind of feel like you know what you're talking about a little bit. But I mean, yeah, I'm just candid.
So that's a great message and a great lesson, I think, that, we can't do it all, but capital structure, how you structure your company can be critical when you're looking to raise capital. And many, founders, entrepreneurs don't even realize the importance of it. So, walk before you run I think is the message, right? Make sure you have good mentors around you. Ask questions. You don't have to know it all, is what Tony's saying, right? Does anybody have any questions about Tony's challenges? Abigail?
My question is, how do you avoid shiny object syndrome? So I'm sure you have a lot of mentors or a lot of information coming in. How do you stay focused on the task at hand and make sure that you're hitting your deadlines?
I think that was my biggest struggle, is what I said pretty much, is I believe we try to do too much at once, right? And that's our biggest, and anybody's, right? It's like you overanalyze what you're actually capable to do. And so I think having a team around me, if it was me, just as Tony, I would have ran this into the ground a long time ago, right? I'm just candid. But I need to make sure I can rely on people around me. And so having a great team has really been able to help me. Hey, Tony, let's double verify, because I'm just like happy-go-lucky. I have, radical, like, hey, let's do it. We can conquer the world together. And the team can pull me back in and be like, hey, let's look at this from this angle, and this angle. And so having a council around me is really the only reason I've been able to get this far. So,
is the team, are they co-founders of ReplicAIDE?
Yeah, I have one of them here in the room over there. Hidenori Rocky.
Hi, Hidenori. Yeah, we know Hidenori. How are you? Nice to see you again. Anybody else? What does your team comprise of?
So we have a couple other co-founders. So we have our CTO is in Thailand right now, but also DC areas where he resides with my original co-founder. I started this all with more of my technical brain, our CEO. So, and then we have some developers overseas and a great team kind of spread out overseas to help us push over the edge, but at least like 4 dedicated, I guess, hats that like main founders wear.
So all have different skill sets, different resources. Do you have any employees?
No, not yet. We're hoping that all that goes well with this crowdfund, and we set at least ourselves up and the team that we've kind of pushed this far. We've luckily had people, a lot of, even whether it be a fractional CFO or some other people that are willing to sit on positions and say, hey, I love what you guys are doing. This is great technology. We want to partner on the upside, and so we've had amazing people that have good careers and willing to come in, and we have a woman who's done HR for Target, and so for 20 years, and so I could never do that, right? But to have somebody with that track record on our team is invaluable, really.
So not trying to pry, but so are you the co-founders? Are they all kind of drawing salaries and stuff, or are you all just basically vested in the business, have an equity share, and are just working hard to make it work? Right now,
we're full as we're gearing towards this crowdfund. We're like, hey, everything's going towards this crowdfund because we understand the more you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it, and we'll obviously draw down as we're raising through it, right? Because that's the value of being able to do that. But yeah, we're literally putting all of our eggs pretty much into
blood,
that.
Sweat, and tears, basically. Yeah. Sweat equity, absolutely right. Sweat equity, that's right. And finding partners that are prepared to do that with you, that bring different skill sets to the table, I think is really key. Any other questions?
I think they call it TCPA, the new laws on calling people over the phone. How is that going to
Yeah, I don't say too much up to date, but from what I last heard, they extended that, so was pushed back from this year from when they were going to do that. But even regardless, if let's say they do pass that, we do a lot of rigorous understanding of like, okay, compliance that's my other co-founder. He worked in 3-letter companies, so he did compliance. It was the biggest thing as cybersecurity. So, we want to make sure that everything that we're providing for individuals is compliant. And so everything that's coming inbound, right, it's kind of already, that's what we're helping people with. If we're doing outbound, it's a lot more nuanced, kind of, you can't do cold market. We can talk about that later, but it's very nerdy and how we can kind of work around that. But where there's a will, there's a way, I believe. So.
Question over there, Dennis.
Yeah, I have a question about market research, validation. How did you validate your idea? Beta users, did you reach out to people, have people try your product out?
Yeah. Honestly, for me, I probably could have done a better job at just mass marketing on LinkedIn, right? But I've been blessed enough to just have an ecosystem of just business owners around me because I was a marketing agency before. So a lot of it was just me going to them and saying, hey, AI is, going crazy. Let me see how I can kind of integrate this into your business. So it was just going to them, asking them what their problems were. And a lot of them were very similar. I was realizing like, hey, we have either too many leads we can't handle or manage, or just there's just too much of just going on all at once. We need something to kind of track everything that's happening. And so I started being able to just seeing how that problem was being sculpted, and then realizing, okay, I work with a real estate person, but then I also work with a landscaper, and realizing they have, though it's talking about different things, the problems at least we're solving are very similar. And so kind of, that's what at least helped me, was just personal relationships, going to events like this, meeting people and just saying, hey, I believe you obviously have to do the numbers game. And so that's the biggest thing, is just try to go through as many people as you can. Obviously trying to build relationships, right? But, see where you can fall in and help them.
Any other questions? Oh, over there.
Tony, what's your competitive advantage?
That's a great question. I'd say right now we have partners that we've, carved out exclusivity with. So I always like to, though I could say us, right? Like we have advanced algorithms and data, and our AI is great. We have a research lab team from Cambridge University in the UK, over the 30 years technology that they've been able to kind of enhance just technology of being able to understand the nuances of language, understanding speech capabilities in many different languages. And so by us partnering with them, you can think of them as almost like an 11 Labs type of very influential, big company that, we have exclusive rights to, present as ourselves. And so really now leading out, I, as a startup, don't need to have 30 years of proprietary technology as my partner does. And so we can come and say, hey, we're 30% more accurate than Microsoft and OpenAI in certain areas. And then so I'd say having that competitive edge as a startup, initially being better than multi-million-dollar companies, helps us be able to back up what we're saying, because of also the partners that, we're relying on their technology as well. So.
Estelle, right?
I have a question regarding your capability being better than Microsoft. What kind of testing did you run to back up that statement? Because that's a huge statement.
Yeah, like I said, so that's not our tech, right? That's our partner. So their ability to take speech recognition, right? So within the languages that they have, obviously, we have around 50 plus languages. And so they did benchmarking on their just being able to understand what a person is saying. Because if you go on Microsoft and you go on Teams, how good are the it's terrible. And especially you start speaking other languages, it's not good. So it's not that hard, honestly, but also to your point, yes, it's a lot of rigorous work that us and our team also did, and just analyzing over thousands of hours of just talking and text, comparing the two and seeing, okay, here's how many times we beat out Google or Microsoft or whoever else is there. And so
I'm going to add to that. I mean, I have some experience working with larger legacy companies, and they don't innovate well. Most of the time, they look to smaller companies like ReplicAIDE to innovate. And what happens is a lot of founders find is that they'll get approached, and that's their exit strategy right there. They want a big guy to come and take them over. So I think Tony's specializing in one particular area, right, where they're trying to be everything to everybody. It's easier for a smaller company that's more nimble, more agile, to be able to adapt to the market, what's going on, the trends of technology and everything like that, than it is for a big company like Microsoft, because they have so much bureaucracy, so many people that have to check a box to get a project passed and get the money for it. So yeah, and that's a good question, but thank you. Yeah. So Tony, thank you. If you could have one summary as to what you think would be the biggest lesson you can give to any of the founders, any entrepreneurs out here, anyone's looking to start a company. I heard you mention that you were involved in a marketing agency before. Was that your agency?
Mm-hmm.
So this is not your first rodeo, basically?
It's my first startup.
Okay.
I've been a business owner before.
Okay. So what would be the one thing that you would say is the most important thing that you could share with the group here tonight?
As a startup, the biggest thing, my favorite movie ever is The Founder. You guys have to watch it if you haven't seen it. I'm sure you guys have. But persistence is how they talk about it. I think, especially in a startup, you're going to get slapped in the face more than you'll ever like. And you have to be willing to take it too. I think humility is a big thing. If you go, it doesn't feel good when your baby gets slapped around by somebody saying it's not good, you're not going to raise money, go back to the drawing board. But take that as initiative to say, okay, if everybody could, tell you that you were doing it right, then, you wouldn't be continuing to say okay, that's going to fuel my flame of what is all these naysayers, and name one person that really does have your back besides maybe your fans, family, your internal team, but even those people, right? You have to be willing to kind of put yourself and say, nobody's going to go get this except for me and myself and I, and how I'm willing to do that, and relentless, just whatever it takes. So
Okay.
awesome.
Tony, I really appreciate you sharing your story with us.
Thank you.
Everybody, Tony from ReplicAIDE. If you have any questions for Tony, thank you, Tony. We will have some time at the end of all the speakers where we can kind of do some additional networking and stuff, so please feel free to approach him, ask him about what he's doing. And I'm probably going to have some questions for you, because you could probably help me with my business too, Tony. So thank you again. Another round of applause for Tony.